January 22nd, 2016. New York City. 8.5 million people going about their Friday routines. Wall Street, humming. Subways packed. Yellow cabs weaving through traffic like always. Then the sky turned white. Within hours, the city that never sleeps went silent. Broadway went dark. Times Square emptied. But what scientists discovered in the storm's aftermath would rewrite everything we thought we knew about urban weather warfare. This was Jonas, the blizzard that brought the world's most powerful city to its knees. Winter storm, it was not a surprise attack. Meteorologists had been tracking the system for days as it gathered strength across the southern United States. By January 20th, computer models showed a potentially historic storm taking aim at the eastern seaboard. What made Jonas particularly dangerous was its perfect meteorological recipe, a powerful low-pressure system drawing moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean, while simultaneously pulling down Arctic air from Canada. The National Weather Service began issuing alerts on January 21st, but few New Yorkers paid attention. After all, this was a city that had weathered countless winter storms. Schools remained open. Businesses operated normally. The city's perpetual motion continued uninterrupted. But Jonas was different. This was not just another snowstorm. It was a meteorological monster about to make history. As the system moved up the coast, it underwent a process called bombogenesis, meteorological jargon for a storm that intensifies with extraordinary speed, dropping 24 millibars of pressure in 24 hours. Jonas dropped 26 millibars in just 21 hours. January 22nd started like any other winter Friday in Manhattan. Coffee shops opened at dawn. Traders prepared for another billion-dollar day on Wall Street. Commuters flooded Penn Station and Grand Central. The city's unstoppable machine was grinding forward at full speed. What they could not know was that 1,000 miles away, two massive weather systems were on a collision course. A nor'easter was drawing moisture from the Atlantic while Arctic air plunged south from Canada. The atmosphere was loading its weapon, and New York was the target. The first flakes began falling around 11 in the morning in Central Park, light and almost gentle. Many New Yorkers barely noticed, continuing their workday as usual. By 1 in the afternoon, the snow intensified. The National Weather Service upgraded forecasts, now predicting 12 to 18 inches, a substantial storm, but still not apocalyptic by New York standards. At 2 in the afternoon, Mayor Bill de Blasio held an emergency press briefing, warning residents about a significant storm, but stopping short of declaring an emergency. Schools announced early dismissals, sending 1.1 million students home. The exodus began, but for many it was already too late. By 4 p.m., conditions deteriorated rapidly. The National Weather Service upgraded to a blizzard warning as snowfall rates accelerated to 2 to 3 inches per hour. Visibility dropped below a quarter of a mile. Winds gusted over 40 miles per hour, creating whiteout conditions. Roads became impassable as plows could not keep up with the accumulation. The turning point came at 6 p.m. when Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio jointly announced a travel ban across the city. All vehicles except emergency services were ordered off the roads, a measure not taken since Hurricane Sandy in 2012. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority began shutting down the subway system at 8 p.m., an unprecedented move for a snowstorm. For the first time in its 112-year history, the subway would completely stop running due to snow. By 10 p.m., Broadway theaters went dark, canceling performances mid-show. Times Square, normally teeming with tourists and nightlife, emptied completely, a sight not seen since the aftermath of September 11th. The city that never sleeps had been forced into hibernation. As midnight approached, wind gusts reached 70 miles per hour, hurricane force, creating massive drifts that buried cars and first-floor windows. Snow totals hit 15 inches and continued climbing. The National Weather Service reported snowfall rates of 3 to 5 inches per hour, among the highest ever recorded in New York City. By Saturday morning at 6 a.m., Central Park had recorded 26.8 inches of snow, just shy of the all-time record. Parts of Queens and Staten Island reported over 30 inches. The city was completely paralyzed. Behind the statistics and measurements were millions of human stories unfolding across the 5 boroughs. The storm created heroes and victims, moments of extraordinary kindness and desperate survival. Sarah Chen, a 32-year-old financial analyst, boarded what would be the last 4 train from Manhattan to Brooklyn before the subway shutdown. "We got stuck between stations around 9:30 p.m., she later told the New York Times. What should have been a 30-minute commute turned into a 14-hour nightmare. Chen and approximately 400 other passengers remained trapped underground as the system flooded with snow and lost power. They rationed food, shared phone chargers, and formed impromptu support groups until rescue came the following afternoon. At Bellevue Hospital, Dr. Michael Rodriguez worked a 36-hour shift as the emergency room filled with storm-related injuries. With ambulances unable to navigate the streets, people were walking miles through waist-deep snow seeking help, Rodriguez recalled. "We treated over 200 cases of hypothermia, dozens of cardiac events from people shoveling snow, and I personally delivered 3 babies because mothers could not reach maternity wards." On Broadway, the storm created an unexpected community. James Patterson, an ensemble cast member in Hamilton, described how the theater went dark mid-performance, stranding 2,600 audience members. Patterson said they turned the theater into a shelter. He said the cast performed acoustic versions of songs. People shared food from their bags. Lin-Manuel Miranda ordered pizza for everyone. Patterson said they became a family that night. Perhaps the most vulnerable were the city's estimated 62,000 homeless individuals. Maria Santos, an outreach worker, spent the storm moving through subway tunnels and abandoned buildings. She reported she found families huddling around trash can fires. The temperature dropped to 5 degrees with the wind chill. People were burning their possessions to stay alive. Despite heroic efforts from the Department of Homeless Services, 8 homeless individuals died during Jonas. The storm claimed 55 lives across the eastern United States, with 13 fatalities in New York City alone. Most died from hypothermia, carbon monoxide poisoning from improvised heating, or heart attacks while shoveling snow. By Sunday morning, New York resembled an Arctic wasteland. All 3 major airports, JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, remained closed, stranding over 13,000 travelers. More than 85,000 customers lost power as ice-laden trees snapped transmission lines. Economic losses reached $3.2 billion from closed businesses, property damage, and lost productivity. The cleanup effort was unprecedented. The Department of Sanitation deployed 2,500 snowplows working around the clock. Over 4,200 sanitation workers operated on 12-hour shifts for a week straight. They removed an estimated 6.5 million tons of snow, enough to fill the Empire State Building 7 times over. Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia said it was like fighting a war against nature. She said every time crews cleared a street, winds would blow snow back. They could not get equipment into narrow streets. Some neighborhoods did not see a plow for 5 days. The subway system suffered $300 million in damage from flooding and ice formation on outdoor tracks. Mountains of snow, some reaching 20 feet high, lined every street, creating new problems for pedestrians and reducing parking by 40%. Perhaps most shocking to New Yorkers was the complete cessation of food delivery. In a city where 60% of residents order delivery at least once a week, the inability to get takeout became a cultural crisis. Brooklyn resident Jason Martinez said he realized how dependent we had become on the invisible infrastructure that keeps the city running. When that stopped, we had to remember how to function as a community again. Social media captured Jonas in real time, creating a digital record of the storm's progression. Hashtags like #Snowmageddon 2016 and #Blizzard 2016 trended globally as New Yorkers documented their experiences. Emily Watson, a nurse who walked 8 miles through the snow to reach her shift at Mount Sinai Hospital, became an internet sensation after a photo of her snow-covered scrubs went viral. She said she did not think it was extraordinary. People were counting on her. You do what you have to do. The storm revealed stark disparities in how different neighborhoods experienced the disaster. Manhattan's main arteries were cleared relatively quickly, while outer borough communities waited days for plows. Residents of the Rockaways in Queens reported being completely abandoned as snowdrifts reached second-story windows. Community-led efforts emerged to check on elderly residents and distribute supplies. Former NYPD Commissioner Bill Bratton described the eerie silence that descended on the city. He said he had patrolled these streets for decades through blackouts, terror attacks, and hurricanes, and nothing compared to the absolute stillness of New York during Jonas. It was like someone had pressed pause on the entire city. The psychological impact was profound. Psychiatrists reported a spike in anxiety disorders following the storm, particularly among those who had been trapped or isolated. Dr. Jennifer Klein, a trauma specialist, explained that Jonas shattered our illusion of control. In a city that prides itself on 24/7 connectivity and accessibility, being cut off from basic services was deeply destabilizing. The institutional response to Jonas revealed both strengths and critical weaknesses in emergency management. While the National Weather Service had accurately forecast the storm's path, city officials were criticized for delayed decision-making. The travel ban, though necessary, came hours after conditions had already deteriorated. Mayor de Blasio defended the response, citing the unprecedented nature of the storm. He said we were dealing with snow accumulation rates we had never seen before. The models predicted 18 to 24 inches over 36 hours. Instead, we got nearly 30 inches in less than 24 hours. Governor Cuomo activated 600 National Guard troops to assist with rescues and debris removal. FEMA released emergency funds after President Obama declared New York a federal disaster area on January 24th. The city opened 443 shelters, housing over 10,000 displaced residents. The private sector demonstrated remarkable resilience. Con Edison deployed 1,200 workers to restore power, often in life-threatening conditions. Telecommunications companies maintained 98% network uptime, despite infrastructure damage. Grocery chains like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's used snowmobiles to transport essential employees to stores, preventing complete food shortages. Most impressive was the grassroots community response. In Astoria, Queens, residents formed human chains to dig out elderly neighbors. In the South Bronx, church groups converted sanctuaries into warming centers. Across the city, people with four-wheel drive vehicles volunteered as impromptu ambulances for medical emergencies. Jonas forced New York to completely rethink emergency preparedness. The city invested $20 billion in climate resilience infrastructure over the following 5 years. New early warning systems were installed, subway flood barriers were upgraded, and critical electrical equipment was relocated above potential flood levels. The Department of Sanitation overhauled its snow removal strategy, creating a tiered response system that prioritized hospital access routes and vulnerable communities. The city purchased 700 new plows specifically designed for narrow streets in the outer boroughs. Communication systems were revolutionized. The New York City Emergency Management app, launched in 2017, provided real-time information during subsequent storms. The MTA developed a more flexible service reduction plan, rather than total shutdowns. Perhaps most significantly, Jonas changed how meteorologists understand winter storms in the climate change era. Dr. Jennifer Francis of the Woodwell Climate Research Center explained that Jonas revealed something terrifying. The storm's rapid intensification, called bombogenesis, was 40% more likely due to climate change. Warmer oceans were feeding these monsters with unprecedented moisture. A 2018 study in the Journal of Climate found that coastal snowstorms along the eastern seaboard had increased in both frequency and intensity since 1980, with average snow depths 12% higher. While global warming reduces overall snowfall in many regions, it paradoxically creates conditions for more extreme snow events in specific coastal corridors. Jonas became a benchmark for emergency planning nationwide. FEMA incorporated lessons from the storm into its national preparedness guidelines. Urban planners from Chicago to Seattle studied New York's response to improve their own protocols. For ordinary New Yorkers, Jonas remains a shared experience, a moment when the city's invincibility myth was temporarily shattered. Annual surveys by Columbia University's Earth Institute found that 78% of residents changed their emergency preparations after Jonas, maintaining larger food reserves and alternative communication plans. Jonas revealed something profound about America's greatest city. When the lights went out and the subways stopped, when Wall Street closed and Broadway went dark, New Yorkers didn't panic. They helped each other. Strangers shared food. Neighbors checked on the elderly. Communities formed in subway cars and theater lobbies. The storm that was supposed to break the city's spirit only proved how unbreakable it really was. Today, when meteorologists track the next monster storm heading for the coast, they remember Jonas. They remember that even the world's most powerful city can be brought to its knees by snow and wind. But they also remember that the human spirit, that stubborn refusal to give up, that's stronger than any storm. Winter storm. Jonas wasn't just a weather event. It was a turning point in how we understand the relationship between urban infrastructure and climate change. The blizzard of 2016 may have temporarily silenced New York, but it amplified conversations about resilience, preparation, and community that continue to this day. Did you experience Winter Storm Jonas or another extreme weather event? Share your story in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button to help us reach more people with these powerful tales of nature's fury and human resilience. Turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly uploads exploring Earth's most devastating weather phenomena. Until next time, stay safe and stay weather aware.